Hi everybody and welcome back to the 52 tag challenge. We've got tags number 1 and number 2 all sorted out. So we've got all white for tag number 1 and a heart for tag number 2. So I thought we'd do something a little bit different for our third tag. So I'm going to call it a scrappy tag, and it's a great way of using up all bits and pieces of fabric that you've got in your stash, because hopefully this year, apart from probably getting your tags, but I know quite a few people have made their tags, the idea is really don't buy anything for this challenge. I want you to try and use up all the stuff that you've got. Having said that, before we went into our current lockdown, I happened to be at my friend Jane's, and she had all these gorgeous strips of fabric. So I haven't bought anything new. She did give them me. And as I came home, I thought, oh God, what an amazing idea for a little project. So this is going to be the theme for our next scrappy tag. Now I thought I was all ready with everything, and I've just remembered I'd forgotten something. So let me just find the little bits that I need. You always get to these stages where you think you're all ready, and then you find out actually you're not. There we go. I had all my little bits and pieces. Right, okay. So I've got all these little bits of fabric. So if you just get your fabric out and cut it into strips. They don't have to be brilliantly neat because it's going to be quite raggedy on the end. Now my strips, this one here is just short of an inch. It's sort of 2 centimeters. That's probably just a little bit too wide. An ideal width for this is like 1/2 inch wide little strips. And what you're going to do is, once you've got all your strips together, you're going to iron them. I don't advocate ironing. I try and avoid ironing as much as possible, but this just makes this particular challenge easier. I've got a wool base that I've seen a lot of quilters use, and a little craft iron. Just means that I don't have to move. So what we're going to do is you're going to get all your strips and just carefully, try not to burn your fingers. You're just going to iron them all in half. Okay, now it's up to you what colours you choose. Again, I'm going to have the technique as the idea. You can choose your colours. So I chose a range of colours. I've got some light ones. I've got some light yellows going through to blues, and then I've even got nearly blacks and purples. Some are checkered, so some are patterned. It can be anything at all. So that's the first thing you need to do. I've got way too many here, way too many, but just having a selection is really, really good. Then get your tag. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece of fabric that's going to fit just inside your tag. Now, I would suggest that you have something that's got a little bit of substance to it. So a calico or an upholstery fabric, or like the Sanderson fabrics are really good. Something that's a little bit sturdier for you to be able to stitch into. What you're then going to do is all your bits and pieces that you've done, you're going to cut them so they're just slightly smaller than your tag. Okay, and this is quite a nice thing just to sit and do, and get a little bowl of all these bits and pieces, and then get your thread, get your stitching, and just find yourself somewhere nice, cup of tea, put a audio book on, listen to some music, watch a film, something like that, and sit and start stitching. So what we're going to do is we're going to start stitching these on one after another. So you're going to take one of your pieces, okay, open it up, start near the top of your tag, and what you're going to do is across the crease, try and keep it straight, you're just going to do a running stitch. They don't have to be tiny stitches, because you're not going to see any of these stitches at all. So I'm doing a running stitch across the seam. Okay. When you get to the other end, what you're going to do, take your thread to the back. I then tend to turn it up because I always work, I'm left-handed, so I tend to work from left to right. So I'm going to flip it round. Now what you're going to do now is that you're going to fold it back over. So you're folding it over the stitching that you've done. You're going to take your next piece, and what you want to do is put it as close as you can get it next to the one that you've just stitched. Okay, so that the creases are matching. Open that one up and then stitch along. Now you could just do random colours. You could decide that you're going to choose one colour and do like a tonal range. So you could decide I'm going to do a blue tag and I'm going to find maybe some white, pale blue, mid blue, navy blue, Prussian blue, indigo blue tags all the way down. You might decide to do it all the same colour. You might just think I want it to look like a little scrappy tag and not worry about it. Okay, I did a range of colours on this one. Well, on the other one that I'll show you in a second. So it does take a little bit of doing. This tag's probably going to take you a little bit longer than the other ones have done. But it gives such a cute effect when you're finished. So then I tend to turn it round. So again, doing exactly the same thing. Fold that back over. Just give it a bit of a finger press. Take your next cut piece. So I might put a different colour in. So just trim that. Do a darker colour so that you can see. So I'm laying that crease to crease. Oh. Open it up. Just hold it with your thumb and finger. And then I'm stitching. So my stitching is right next to the previous crease. And you do need to get them close together for this to be effective. Now I've just done it with cotton fabrics, but it is quite nice to try different thicknesses. There's no reason why you couldn't stitch a little bit of lace in as you're going along. Put some sheer fabrics in, shiny fabrics. Again, you're making this personal to you. I'm just giving you the prompts, I suppose. It's been quite nice when I've seen some of the previous tags that people are sort of putting their own spin on them. So I've got right to the end. So if I fold that back, you can see there I'm stitching right next to the one that I've just done. So again, when you get to the end, fold that over. So I'm getting all the folded bits there. Turn it around, grab another bit, pop it on, open it up and stitch all the way back. Now what you want to do is do this all the way round, all the way down, to the very end of your tag. Okay, when you've got right down to the very bottom, what you're then going to do there, there's another one. So imagine that I've gone all the way down to the bottom. What you'll do then is come back to the top, fold these ones down that way, and then you need to fill in the little gap that you've left at the top. So you'll come back up here and add those in. The reason that we didn't start right at the top to begin with was once you've got all these bits in, your fabric's a little bit sturdier and it's a little bit easier then to come back and work from inside the piece to the edge than it is to try and get it right on the very, very edge. I've kept all my little scrappy bits sort of the same length, but there's no reason why you couldn't start with them really small and get bigger as you're going down. Again, put your own spin on everything that we're doing. Okay, right, because this isn't a very, very exciting technique to watch, I have done a little bit of a Blue Peter moment. So I have already got one that I prepared earlier. So that's our technique sort of building up. So here, this is the one now then that I have done. So it goes right up to the very top. I could possibly even get another one in there, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. So these are all the bits. So I sort of started lighter with mine and I've gone darker. If I turn it sideways, you can see all the little bits. And like usual, I will put some close-up photos of these. But I've got all sorts of bits of fabric. Now what you can then do is come back into it. Over time this will happen anyway. But all these little loose threads, if you start pulling them off, you start fraying the edges. I know that you can do this as cut work that sort of gives like a chenille sort of effect. But I'm just calling this a scrappy tag. I just quite like things being quite scruffy. So when you've done it all, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we've done before. So this is going to get attached onto our tag. So again, just a little bit of glue. Remember the glue's just in the middle and that just holds it in place while we're going to stitch it down. So again, to pop a little knot, to hide the knot. You could choose different colours as well for your stitching that matches the fabrics that you've used if you wanted to. So we come up between the tag and the fabric first. That then hides your little knot. I know a few people have made templates with their tags to be able to stitch through them. So whatever it is that just makes your life a little bit easier. So you stitch that through. So again, we're doing the same thing where we come along. So we're creating our square on the back that gives us our frame for doing our quote. Now obviously when you come down to the middle bit of this one, you're going to have to come through some of your bits of fabric. So I'm coming down to the middle. Just find a little gap that you can come through wherever that needle comes up. Just try not to end up stitching down one of your bits of fabric so it creates a creased piece. So just try and get it in one of the folds. Okay, coming down to the bottom. Oops. Oh, there we go. Across. I don't know what my quote's going to be at the moment, or what I'm going to write down. So don't worry if you've not got something to write every single week. It might be inspiration just hits you at some point. So again, when you get to the middle, try and open up one of your creases. Needs be, get your needle and pop it through from the front to the back, so then you know where you're going. Makes it a little bit easier. So I've done that. I've opened up one of my creases to get my needle through. Back down. Thank you to everybody that's subscribing to my channel. But there are a lot of you out there that haven't. It'd be brilliant if you did, if you just did a bit of a click, bit of a subscribe. It just means my channel's going to keep growing, and it just means then I can carry on doing all these great projects. Okay, so we've got our square on the back. Finish off. Just get your needle through that corner a couple of times. Then just go through that loop just to create a little knot. Okay, and then you can do your date stamp. So Date's gone out my head. I'll just check, sorry. The 15th, there we go. 16, 15. So I normally do my little check before I stamp it on. Just check I'm getting it the right way around. Yep. So I'm just going to pop it off the edge of that because it's a bit more of a textured piece. There we go, 15th. And then we can add it to our tags. It's getting exciting now. So when you look at this was the bit I was getting really excited for, is obviously when we start adding more and more, you're going to be able to stand it up on your ring. And I'm hoping that by the time we've done it, it'll go all the way around. I've changed the front tag. I got one of those punchy things that I had when I was a kid to do my label on the front. So we've got all white, a heart, and then a scrappy one. So 3 very, very different techniques. Next week, we're going to focus on a stitch. I've decided that we'll do 3 tags, and then the 4th tag, the 8th tag, etc. we'll do a stitch. Because I know quite a few people have said that they want to start learning some different stitches. So some of you might know it, some of you might not, but that will come next week. So next week you'll choose a colour that you would like to base yours on. And it would be a good idea just to keep looking at your tags. It's like I've gone for a light one. I've done 2 dark ones. So I think my next one, I'll probably go a little bit lighter. So just think about your colours as they're going along. But those are your first 3 tags. Hopefully everybody's all safe and well. And I will see you again next week. Love and hugs.